Hello, everyone. Let's start with the first question. How important is vocabulary teaching or learning in our context?
Very important, I think, because in order to, our students usually learn English to understand academic texts, especially in faculty. So an important part of understanding academic texts and following lectures requires learning a lot of vocabulary, especially academic vocabulary. So it's very important.
Yeah, because our course is context based, so each unit is kind of like directly related to a certain set of vocabulary items. So without knowing those words, they can't really progress. Also in terms of grammar and other skills.
I think vocabulary is at the very center because when students first come to School of Languages, they don't know all the core vocabulary, and then we also ask them to learn about academic vocabulary. This sometimes causes some challenges for teachers and students as well. And most students have this assumption. They assume that they can just guess most of the vocabulary from context. But actually they cannot do that very well. And all these things lead to different problems for us teachers as well as students. So I think it's very important for our
Also,
program.
I believe in writing, for example, they mostly use the words inappropriately and they do not use them correctly. So I think it also the level of their writing is very dependent on their vocab choice. So if they can use good vocabulary appropriately and correctly, this also affects their writing.
That's right.
And also talking about academic words because it's so out of context, daily context, so they can't really use these kind of words in daily conversation. So it's very important for them to have this chance here to practice.
I guess especially at the exit level, which is root 4, level 4 in our program, it is very hard for students to learn some certain vocabulary because maybe they don't even use these words in their native language, in Turkish.
Yeah.
So these are all, let's call them $10 words. They are all advanced words that they haven't encountered before, even in Turkish. And we expect them to learn them in English, and this is quite a challenge for them.
That's right. And when it comes to vocab choice, how do we choose the vocabulary we teach them?
In a sense, we have our vocabulary companions, so we don't have any other. We are dependent on it, so we can't really choose.
And the
The
teaching,
words
learning
in
program,
program.
whatever is written, we're required to teach them. But
Sorry.
But of course, we have to prioritize because we can't really cover all, let's say, 50 words or 60 words in one day. So.
that's right, we have to prioritize, and they already know some of these words on that particular day. So we focus on the ones that are more challenging or the ones they don't know. Plus, I sometimes choose the words from the text, which are not in that vocab list that we have to cover. Based on experience, I say these words are important. You will come across these in the academic text you will read when you go to faculty. So I try to teach those words as well.
I think for all of us, we're all experienced after teaching for years, intuition plays an important role in the way we teach, we choose and teach vocabulary. But let me give you an example. When sometimes I choose an authentic text and use it in class for a change. What I usually do is I usually copy the text if it is soft one. I copy the text and copy and paste it in a web tool like Lex Tutor, and I just check the level of vocabulary. And if I'm teaching, let's say, a B2 level, then I look for B2 level vocabulary, and I just choose them, and I try to teach them during my classes. Yeah. So I think such tools, such websites are quite helpful when you're choosing the vocabulary that you want to teach in class.
And especially for higher levels, I don't think this kind of strategy will work in lower levels, but for higher levels, students can decide which vocabulary to
Yeah.
learn, especially for their writing or, I mean, so maybe we can ask students to choose the vocabulary items that they would like to learn so that we can just meet their needs. But I don't think this would work in lower levels because they don't have that understanding.
It's true.
Okay, and the last question is about the challenges that we face in teaching vocabulary.
So I think we've talked about that we're dependent on this list, vocabulary list, and we don't have much time actually to cover all the words.
Time is an issue.
And students have to become progressively aware that they're responsible also for their work at home, and they have to work on the vocabulary on their own as well. So that's a challenge, I think.
When students do not study outside class, do enough revision, it's a challenge for the teacher because you have to repeat and teach some of the words again and provide enough time for practice in class. So I sometimes find myself rushing or trying to find time to do more practice in class and prepare some extra materials, etc. Because students do not do enough work outside sometimes.
I think that's especially
Challenge.
difficult in terms of collocations because there's not enough practice. We normally teach words isolated in an isolated form, and with collocations that becomes a more difficult task to do.
One thing that really worries me is that students tend to use Turing and Google Translate a lot. So what happens is they only look for the Turkish meanings. So
Which is usually incorrect.
yeah, this may help them to some extent
Yeah.
on a recognition level, but when it comes to using the words, putting them in actual use, it's quite difficult for them to do that because when they use tools or dictionaries like Turing, they cannot find out the collocations and how they should produce the words. What happens is they don't know the collocations, the propositions, and so on. So when you ask them to produce a sentence by using this particular word, they cannot do it successfully.
And then writing is a problem. Like you
Yeah.
see that they can't use it properly.
And also, in order to use those words meaningfully, they need to be exposed to those words. So they are exposed to it with the reading text, but also, for example, since they are mostly the academic words, our daily language doesn't include those words. So in our, for example, teaching talking time in class, we do not use these words actively. So they do not have enough exposure to these kind of words. So